Part 63. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 623. Wait, Zhang Zizai hadn't decided how to deal with her yet, when he heard Shen Xiao shout. She had already untied herself, and now she walked forward with the severe pain on her body, looking at Shen Xinjiao with red eyes. Her two slender thighs were stabbed with several blood holes. Zhang Zizai felt distressed. Shouldn't such snow-white thighs be used to play slowly? When he came over, Shen Xiao took out the Holy Emperor Dragon Spear, and directly took action, returning all the blood holes on his body to Shen Xinjiao. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Shen Xinjiao screamed in pain. Stop! Otherwise, our elders in the meteor realm will definitely make you three doomed. Sooner or later, you will leave the first level of the god's domain. Well, Shen Xinjiao threatened. Her fate is even worse now. Zhang Zizai ignored her. My father is a powerful man who has the potential to become a god. He will become a god within 2 years. If you dare to touch me, you will die. In 2 years, you will enter the second level of the god realm. Well, my brothers are all there. They are all powerful men in the initial god realm. They can take your lives at that time. I have told them your information. Shen Xinjiao struggled. It can be seen that she was worried that Zhang Zizai would kill him. Oh, your father is so powerful? Your brother is not bad either. Zhang Zizai stared into her eyes and asked. Of course. You have offended me and there is no way to survive, Shen Xinjiao said arrogantly. Is that so? Zhang Zizai smiled. Sometimes he didn't want to be too cruel, but others were often more cruel than himself. If it weren't for the fact that the three of them were still useful today, Shen Xiao and Ling Xian would have been corpses now. Then you go first. Shen Xiao suddenly gritted his teeth and said beside Shen Xinjiao. What are you saying? Shen Xinjiao had just finished half of her words when the Holy Emperor Dragon Spear in Shen Xiao's hand pierced through her body. This time, it did not avoid the vital points, but hit them directly. Puff! Shen Xinjiao stared at Shen Xiao with wide eyes, trembling all over, but unfortunately she had no time. In a very short time, her breath disappeared in the struggle and despair. You are dead. At the last moment, she said these 5 words. It seems that she is really confident in her father and brother. After all, Zhang Zizai can't stay in the first level of the god's domain forever. After he is over 20 years old, he will have to go to the second level, and there will be more strong people there. Use you to do it, Zhang Zizai glared at Shen Xiao. Who knows if you will be nagging when you see that it's a woman. I don't want to waste time here. Shen Xiao rolled his eyes and said, besides, it's not you who is injured. Can you be angry with us? She couldn't even stand steadily now. Who said I'm not angry with you? Zhang Zizai really wanted to strangle her to death. As a girl, why did she commit so many murders? Are you angry? That's fine. Just think of me as taking the blame for you, so that the ancient god won't bother you. Shen Xiao pursed her lips and said. I need you to take the blame. Next time, don't do it in this situation. Then you should be more straightforward, she said angrily. To be honest, Zhang Zizai did hesitate a little just now. After all, the other party had the capital to threaten. He considered whether to make an enemy, but Shen Xiao was too hot-tempered. You are used to being a princess. Use your brain first next time. Zhang Zizai glared at her. No, Shen Xiao pouted. Let you be arrogant. Zhang Zizai stretched out his hand and pinched her face hard, saying hurry up and use the mysterious art of life, don't bleed too much and die. Let go of your dirty hands. If I die, I die, it's none of your business. She was in great pain, so she was a little irritable. Thinking of this, Zhang Zizai could only let her go, because she was injured. Just when they were flirting, something suddenly changed. Zhang Zizai originally planned to take them to heal their wounds first, but when he was talking to Shen Xiao, Ling Xian suddenly stood in front of Shen Xinjiao's body. Zhang Zizai didn't notice for a while, and her eyes were a little bloody. Then, she actually used the blood refining and qi transformation to refine Shen Xinjiao's body in a very short time. This made Zhang Zizai and Shen Xiao stunned for a moment. The last time she refined it was to increase her self-protection ability in desperate situations, but now they are basically safe. Because of Zhang Zizai's breakthrough, Shen Xinjiao has died in the battle, and they can return to the evolution world. At this time, refining again, except for making oneself stronger, has little meaning. Zhang Zizai doesn't think it's a big deal, but he knows that Lingxian herself is still quite resistant to the power of blood refining and qi transformation. Moreover, Lingxuan's eyes are a little wrong now, too bloody, and it is difficult to see her emotions. Blood refining and qi transformation ended quickly. Another strong man of the 4th level of Tianyuan realm, whose power should be of great benefit to Lingxian. After refining blood and transforming qi, she sat down cross-legged and began to hold her breath. Yanner is going to try to condense the 9th level of the divine seal. Shen Xiao looked at Zhang Zizai with a slightly worried look, asking for help. Observe it, it should be fine. What if someone comes to make trouble at this time? She knew that there was such a big battle here, even if it was remote, someone would always come. I can just block it, Zhang Zizai said. Now the medicinal effect of the Shenyuan fruit is still there, and he should be very strong in Tianxing City. This is more manly. Shen Xiao looked at him and said. Nonsense, I have always been very hot-blooded, Zhang Zizai said proudly. I don't believe it, she smiled with her lips pursed, looking a little coquettish. You dare to question me? Believe it or not, I'll get you, Zhang Zizai glared. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Do you have the courage? She raised her eyebrows. In the temple of sacrifice, when I forcibly took your first kiss away, do you think I dare? Zhang Zizai suddenly laughed. Shameless, she remembered that incident and could only be angry. This incident reminded her that he was really a lawless person, so she should be alert to not provoke him again, otherwise this madman might really play cards against common sense, and then it would be a big loss. At this point, Lingxuan's momentum has increased a lot. Zhang Zizai knew that she was breaking through the realm, so he placed a large number of spirit stones around to help her practice. You are generous to Yanner. Shen Xiao looked at him so generously, and his words were a little sour. That's right, Yanner is much gentler than you, a tigress. Zhang Zizai smiled. You, Shen Xiao gritted his teeth, wishing he could strangle him to death. Bang! Ling Xian's body was shaken by a wave of power, and all the exhausted spirit stones around were blown away. The power of her totem seal had reached its peak, achieving the 9-layer seal, reaching the 9th level of the seal realm. She slowly opened her blood-red eyes, and only when she saw her eyes did Zhang Zizai feel relieved. She finally regained her clarity and was no longer unable to control herself as before. She stood up in a daze, probably not quite sure what happened. Unable to control, Zhang Zizai asked. She thought about it for a while, and said distressedly, maybe it's because I was injured and angry, and then I was a little confused, as if I fell into a sea of blood. When I woke up, I found that I was breaking through. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 624. Zhang Zizai also thought that it was the injuries on her body that stimulated her. Anyway, this ability is indeed not very stable. You should be more careful in the future, Shen Xiao said with concern. I know. Zhang Zizai saw that they were still injured and needed to recuperate. As for their strength, now that they had broken through their realm, it would not be too difficult to leave Tianxing City. He was ready to leave first. But what he didn't expect was that at this moment, some changes happened to Lingxuan's body. Her face suddenly changed, revealing a slightly painful look. What's wrong? Zhang Zizai and Shen Xiao asked immediately with concern. It may be because the realm of refining blood and transforming chi has broken through, causing the 9-layer divine seal to be not very stable and showing signs of breaking. She frowned and said, "This is a big deal. If the realm is unstable and the divine seal collapses, all previous efforts may be wasted, and you need to start practicing again from the first level of the divine seal realm. If this happens below the 8th level of the divine seal, it will be very troublesome. It's broken." Zhang Zizai wanted to calm down first, but Lingxian said this when he was trying to stabilize it. Now she is in the 9th level of divine seal. Once the totem divine seal is broken, it is very dangerous and may even kill her. The only hope is that she is unstable because of the 9th level of divine seal, and the 9th level of divine seal is just the time to break the divine seal and pass through the source of heaven. "Can I try the source of heaven directly?" Zhang Zizai asked hurriedly. "It should be possible, but here. This is not a stable environment, and it is obvious that there are many people approaching." "It's okay, right here." There was no time to return to the evolution realm. Zhang Zizai made a prompt decision and asked her to rush to the Tianyuan realm right here. He asked the injured lightning bird to guard the surroundings directly, and then said to Shen Xiao, "I will block anyone who comes. You stand beside her to prevent any thieves from sneaking up on her." "You say it." Shen Xiao was also very anxious. She hurriedly helped Lingxian to a corner where it was not easy to see directly. Fortunately, both of them had just arrived at the Tianyuan realm and had experience. After preparing for Lingxian, she directly gave her the conditions to win the Tianyuan realm after the god seal was accidentally shattered. Zhang Zizai did not say anything and directly drew out the god of killing and stood outside to protect Lingxian. Because Lingxian was not rushing to the Tianyuan realm normally, the accident was estimated to be very serious. Once she failed, she might ruin everything, so he was still very nervous. "She can only rely on herself, and I can't let anyone get close to her. This is my responsibility." He looked at Lingxuan's condition. She should have started looking for her Tianyuan. At this moment, as expected, what was supposed to come finally came. The sound of the battle here had already spread, but because it was remote, the arrival might be a little slow. If not, Zhang Ziyai and the others would be in more danger. A group of people came towards the side from a distance. A closer look showed that they were Bai Xian and Lu Rishi from the Flower Rain realm and Jimu realm. The geniuses of the two totem worlds gathered together and approached the side quickly. In another direction, it seemed that there were other people coming towards the side. Bai Xian and Lu Rishi saw Zhang Ziyai in the ruins at a glance, but did not see Shen Xiao and Lingxian in the corner for the time being. After locking Zhang Ziyai, they surrounded him instantly. "Just you? Where are the other two?" Bai Xian asked with narrowed eyes. "Who is this?" They saw the body on the ground, but now they could not tell that it was Shen Xinjiao. "This is Shen Xinjiao's clothes and her star demon knife," Bai Xian suddenly screamed. It was indeed a woman who was more observant. Shen Xinjiao died. The people in the two totem worlds almost screamed. Bai Xian looked at Zhang Zizai in shock and asked, "Who killed Shen Xinjiao? Was it you?" "Are you surprised?" Zhang Zizai laughed. The Shenyuan fruit didn't last long. After he saw the person, he had made a decision. "No matter what means you use, you are definitely finished." Bai Xian's face was gloomy. She and Lu Rishi looked at each other. In the distance, they could see Xiao Chen approaching. They looked at each other. "Get rid of him. Let's go together." Lu Rishi and Bai Xian didn't let others take action. After all, there were too many people and it was messy. The two didn't say much and surrounded them directly. They were both in the 4th level of Tianyuan realm. One flower and one tree, whether it was Totem or Tianyuan, were top level. Their strength was at the same level as Jin Xuanhuan. At this time, the lethality was indeed different. Under the ruins, Bai Xian's heavenly source power condensed into lotus flowers, which grew out of the ground. For a moment, Zhang Zizai's left side became a sea of lotus flowers. And on his right side, when Lu Rishi took action, the heavenly source power swept over and directly became a forest of heavenly source power. Countless branches were like iron whips covering the sky and the earth. Lu Rishi walked among these iron whips and came to kill violently. They were surprised by Shen Xinjiao's death and paid special attention to Zhang Zizai's other methods instead of worrying about his own strength. Boom! At this moment, Zhang Zizai suddenly rose up with the god-killing sword in his hand. Earth escape magic. This battle tactic is about illusion. In the flying smoke and dust, he seemed to have entered the ground and completely lost his figure for a while. When he appeared, he was already behind by Xian, and then, the nine heavens thunder tribulation world destroying sword art burst out crazily. At this time, he could even compete with the 5th level of Tianyuan realm, not to mention by Xian. Boom boom boom. All by Xian's white lotuses were blocked in front, but they were still violently torn apart by Zhang Zizai. In her dull eyes, the violent thunder power bombarded her body, and for a moment she was split like charcoal. From white lotus to charcoal, the contrast was too great. Bai Xian fell straight to the ground. Although she was not dead, she needed a while to recover. She didn't even scream, and fainted directly. Her eyes were full of fear in the end. Sister Bai, Lu Ralong from the giant wood realm rushed out, and the whole person was dumbfounded. You know, when he and Zhang Zizai fought, their strength was about the same. How come he crushed the first genius of the Flower Rain realm in just 1 month? Even more shocked than him was his brother Lu Rishi. He knew how powerful Bai Xian was, but he didn't have time to sigh, because the next moment, Zhang Zizai appeared in front of him, and the violent attack poured down on him. The Wanjun shattering world fist was as powerful as a bamboo, and the power of the punch sent Lu Rishi flying. When he fell to the ground, all his bones were broken, and it was difficult for him to get up in a short time. Brother, Lu Ralong shivered again. Was this the first time he saw Zhang Zizai, and he thought he was just a poor Zhang Zizai? Now he is simply a killing god. He clearly saw the deep fear in his brother's eyes. In front of Zhang Zizai, he had no power to resist. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 625. If you don't get out, you will end up like these two people. Zhang Zizai suddenly appeared in front of other geniuses in the two worlds. There were about 80 of them, and they had all met before in front of the wooden star monument. Come together. Kill him. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Come together. Some are encouraging, some are taking the lead, and some are brave enough to take the lead in the attack and bring out the others. Very good. To deal with them, Zhang Zizai didn't even need to kill the god. He suddenly showed hundreds of clones and rushed into the crowd. He saw crackling sounds and black thunder and lightning shooting everywhere. After about 10 breaths, everyone including Lu Ralong sighed and fell to the ground. Everyone was miserable. The geniuses of the two totem worlds, including the controller of Star City today, have all fallen to the ground, and almost most of them are unconscious. Those who were still awake looked at the young man who was bathed in black power and had already lost his voice. Only howling could express their desperate mood at this time. So much so that after Xiao Chen came here with the people from his totem world, his whole body was sluggish. You did it all, Xiao Chen stared at Zhang Zizai. What responded to him was Zhang Zizai's sword. 30 breaths later, all 30 people brought by Xiao Chen fell to the ground, ending up like everyone else. So many people fell to the ground crying, this was a grand occasion. Zhang Zizai had to be colder because he couldn't let anyone get to Lingxian. Even a child would be a fatal threat to Lingxian at this time. So Zhang Zizai was actually nervous. He was so nervous that whenever someone came to him, he wouldn't say a word and put them down with almost no discussion. The power of Shen Yuan fruit was rapidly declining. He even wanted to take the initiative to go out to find people. Get rid of the people before they are consumed. Perhaps after hearing the news about him, a large number of people continued to come, including people from the meteor realm. However, after they arrived, what they saw was Shen Xingyu's body. Soon, the remaining people such as Li Hongchen, Huang Shenjian, and Qian Yu who had obtained the Water Star Monument arrived. Although Ye Tiandao, Jin Xuanhuan, and Lei Shen were all seriously injured, they had recovered somewhat by this time, and they all rushed come here. Hundreds of people will soon gather here. Zhang Zizai, kill Shen Xingyu. We in the meteor world will not let you go. Just wash your neck. Those people's eyes were cracked, and they were like violent beasts. He seems to have gotten a lot stronger. Lu Rishi, Bai Xian, and Xiao Chen were all defeated by him. We must definitely join forces. Among the crowd, Ye Tiandao looked at the fearless young man. He could hardly believe his eyes. He knew that Zhang Zizai had used his divine Yuan fruit, but how could the divine Yuan fruit alone allow him to possess this level of power? The effect of the divine essence fruit is about to disappear. Don't deal with him now. Do it again after about 30 breaths. Although Ye Tiandao couldn't take action, he could still remind Huang Shenjian and Li Hongchen. Those people held back, knowing that once the effect of the divine energy wore off, Zhang Zizai would be at their mercy. However, just because they didn't take action didn't mean that Zhang Zizai wouldn't take action. He targeted the controllers of Tianxing City. First of all, Li Hongchen. He was targeted by Zhang Zizai, and under the pouring out of the nine heavens thunder tribulations world-destroying swordsmanship, he was defeated and turned into ashes. Then there was Huang Shenjian, who was defeated miserably by the Wanjun boundary-shattering fist. Finally, there is Qian Yu. This woman has the blessing of the Water Star Monument, but she hasn't realized it yet, so she is directly defeated by Zhang Zizai. Even the Space Jade Pendant falls into Zhang Zizai's hands, plus Ye Tiandao's Space Jade Pendant. 10 of them. Almost all the evolutionary sources of the Star Monument were collected by Zhang Zizai and the others. So far, all the controllers of Tianxing City have died and been injured in front of Zhang Zizai. After defeating Qian Yu, the effect of the Shen Yuan fruit disappeared, and Zhang Zizai's Tian Yuan power had been depleted a lot, but so what, now the strongest ones had been defeated, and the remaining people were even more helpless against Zhang Zizai. Are you leaving? If you don't leave, I will go on a killing spree, Zhang Zizai said to hundreds of people in Tianxing City after defeating Li Hongchen, Huang Shenjian, and Qian Yu. That heroic spirit is truly breathtaking. Even Shen Xiao in the dark was in a daze looking at his back. Thinking of what he said, his face turned slightly rosy. One person has one sword, one man is in charge, and no one can stop them. This kind of momentum and heroic spirit is really shocking. I remember that people were jealous of him for getting too many star tablets, just because he had no strength. Now that he has strength, those who covet him will only tremble in their hearts. His divine essence fruit has expired. He is much weaker than before. Let's all come together and take him down. This person is so arrogant and arrogant, he must say this. He has so many sources of evolution. Among the remaining hundreds of people, there are still a dozen who are at the third level of Tianyuan realm and more than 30 who are at the second level of Tianyuan realm. When they work together, their power is still very huge. When it was heard that the effect of the divine origin fruit had disappeared, someone was indeed ready to make a move. When Zhang Zizai stepped forward with his sword, a dozen of them, led by the third level of the Tianyuan realm, came directly to kill them. In response to them, Zhang Zizai's elusive movements and his brutal attacks, no one under the god of slaughter could block his sword, and no one could block his punch. The key is that Zhang Zizai's clones are too many. Hundreds of them besieged Zhang Zizai's clones. Even if they could break the clones, what would it matter? Zhang Zizai's real body was mixed in the crowd, and he killed one by one. People could only hear screams everywhere and see large groups of people falling to the ground. Go. Don't be greedy, he is too scary. He was not in the God Seal realm before. There must be some way to hide his strength. His real realm is at least the 5th level of the heavenly origin realm. In such a desperate voice, the geniuses of Tianxing City fell down, fled, and finally, there were really not many people who could stand in front of Zhang Zizai. There were only 2 people. There was Yetiandao in total. His eyes were extremely cold, but he could only stand by force. Zhang Zizai, you are really capable. This time, I am really convinced, Yetiandao said in a deep voice. Are you not going to take revenge? Zhang Zizai asked. No. I knew that you were taking revenge just for your face. Now face is not important, and there is really no need for revenge, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Yetiandao gritted his teeth, turned around and slowly left. Finally, Zhang Zizai's eyes fell on Qing Kong. Qing Kong looked at him tremblingly. Are you scared? Zhang Zizai asked. She was still shaking. Zhang Zizai stood in front of her. She suddenly opened her mouth and shouted loudly, he is from Qingyang realm, he has. Puff. Before Yuan Fu could say it, Zhang Zizai's sword had already pierced her. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 626. She wanted to tell Zhang Zizai's secret in public, but it was impossible. Zhang Zizai had given her many chances, but she didn't cherish them. When facing hundreds of enemies just now, Zhang Zizai met Nan Fengjian, Zhang Xiao, and others. He showed no mercy. Many people were injured, and only the geniuses of Zikan realm died quietly. No one told Zhang Zizai's secret, including Qing Kong. Maybe the secret of the source talisman on him would still be leaked, but at least Zhang Zizai had minimized the possibility. Now, all the people who looked around were fallen. He had no opponent in the entire Tianxing city, and he had conquered this place. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Everyone looked at him with fear. Including those controllers. Now, if they hadn't fallen, everyone else would be eager to leave here quickly. After solving the trouble, Zhang Zizai only cared about Lingxuan's condition. When he looked back, he suddenly felt a trembling power condensing on Lingxuan's body. Her Tianyuan has taken shape, and she is resisting the Tianyuan calamity. As long as the Tianyuan calamity is over, she can smoothly enter the Tianyuan realm. She really did not disappoint Zhang Zizai. In the process of resisting the Shinayan realm, her breath continued to expand. Her Tianyuan is a bit scary, Shen Xiao said softly. I can feel it. Zhang Zizai even felt that this kind of Tianyuan could barely be compared with his own Tianyuan of destruction. It is very likely to be the 8th or even 9th level of the Tianyuan of the source of heaven. I didn't expect Lingxian to have such a good fortune. Zhang Zizai once again discovered that the secrets on her body were not even smaller than his own. She was different from Shen Xiao. Shen Xiao got good fortune in Zhelanjiayuan to get to where she is today, and she is mostly because of her bloodline. Zhelanjiayuan's push on her was only in the realm. After half a day, almost all the people outside ran away, and no one dared to approach Zhang Zizai, who had been searching for more than a month. After Xian was promoted to the heavenly source realm, her aura finally stabilized. Her face became much more rosy. When she opened her eyes, her blood-red eyes were particularly lively and clear. It seemed that she was very sober. Are you safe? Zhang Zizai asked. She nodded and said, thank you. If Zhang Zizai hadn't been guarding her, she would have been in trouble this time. What level is the heavenly source? What heavenly source? Shen Xiao asked curiously. It seems to be the 9th level. There are only a few heavenly sources in it. The one I got is called Slaughter Heavenly Source. Ling Xian was a little embarrassed to speak, because the word slaughter was not what she liked, but everything about her was connected with these. 9th level? Are you kidding? Shen Xiao was stunned. She thought the 7th level was unprecedented, and Zhang Zizai said he was the 10th level, so she naturally thought it was bragging. But Ling Xian would not lie. No, Ling Xian shook her head. Calm down, don't make a fuss, Zhang Zizai said to Shen Xiao. You are the only one who is calm. Do you know what the 9th level means? My Yanner is an incredible genius, Shen Xiao said. It also means that the difficulty of becoming a god is endless, Ling Xian said distressedly. Besides, I don't understand what killing means at all. I don't like it. It's really inappropriate for a soft girl to comprehend the source of killing. But she found it herself. Don't worry, my source of heaven is still from the 10th level. I'm not afraid of not becoming a god. Zhang Zizai patted her shoulder and said. Can you brag to one side? Shen Xiao laughed dumbly. She knew that Zhang Zizai was trying to build Ling Xuan's confidence, but what he said was too false. Okay, unexpectedly, Ling Xian nodded seriously, obviously believing in Zhang Zizai's meaning. Zhang Zizai opened the evolution world. What should we do next? Shen Xiao asked. They must listen to Zhang Zizai now. Leave Tianxing City first. You go back to the evolution realm to heal your wounds. I'll go back to the origin continent and give my brother an evolution source, and then go to the ancient demon tomb. The ancient demon tomb must be visited, and it's urgent, but Zhang Zizai decided to let his brother become a universe-level totem first. After all, it's uncertain when he can come back. This time, no one stopped them from returning to the evolution realm. After returning, Shen Xiao and Ling Xian both needed some time to recuperate, and Zhang Zizai was in high spirits and called out Wang Qian and Bai Shenjin. Boss, it's already cleaned up. What do you want me to do? Bai Shenjin ran out happily. He knew that maybe the benefits would come to him. Seeing the speed of Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu's cultivation after becoming universe-level totems, he was extremely envious and left them behind in the blink of an eye. Zhang Zizai took out 2 evolution sources, both of which were level 8 evolution sources. This is the 8th level evolution source Death Storm. It suits you in the attribute Wind, but it is not 100% compatible. You can try it. Zhang Zizai gave the evolution source he got from Yetiandao to Bai Shenjin. Bai Shenjin's hands trembled. In fact, he didn't expect Zhang Zizai to really give him such a treasure. Boss, he suddenly choked. What for? Zhang Zizai asked. Bai Shenjin trembled, and looked at Zhang Zizai with tears in his eyes, saying, to be honest, you are too generous to me. I don't know what to say. My life is yours from now on. To put it in an extreme way, even if you ask me to kill people and set fires, I can do it. Go away. If the evolution fails, I will see how you cry. Zhang Zizai kicked him out, and then took out an evolution source and placed it in front of Wang Qian. This is the 8th level evolution source Purifying Water Mind, which was obtained from the Water Star Monument. It has the power of purification and the ability to enchant the mind. It is not very compatible with you, but there is a certain possibility of success. Just relax and try to evolve. If you succeed, you will have a more terrible purification ability than an evolution source called Yuking that I encountered before, Zhang Zizai said. Okay, Wang Qian took the evolution source. Why don't you have some feelings like Bai Shenjin? Zhang Zizai said with a smile. My heart is the same as his. Wang Qian pursed his lips, looked at the evolution source in his hand and said, I always feel that I should contribute everything to the person who changed my destiny. Relax, Wang Qian classmate. It's all fate, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Classmates are what Juxian teaches them. Why is Zhang Zizai so good to them? Because it is so precious to have brotherhood in life. They are both very simple people. Zhang Zizai likes them, that's it. If there is a way, how can I forget my old classmates? Of course, whether the evolution is successful depends on their own luck. Zhang Zizai returned to Tianxing City and walked out directly, and no one could intercept him. On the flying talisman, he returned to the location of the gate of the domain, and at the same time took out the remaining evolution source, ready to feed the source talisman. Today's 5 chapters have been updated. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 627. Zhang Zizai was so bold that he let the source talisman absorb the evolution essence of those top evolution sources on the flying talisman. After all, whether it was the source talisman or the evolution source, they were all the divine objects that geniuses in the totem worlds of the well of the divine domain dreamed of. The people of the dozen or so totem worlds nearby basically gathered in Tianxing City. In fact, there were not many people outside. In this vast yellow sand and desert, no one approached. 8th level evolution sources such as Starry Sky and God Moon can create top level geniuses, which are much stronger than Zhang Zizai's current totem. However, he was very willing to let the Starry Sky, which was almost the supreme level among the 8th level evolution sources, be absorbed by the source talisman. The source talisman was filled with white light, and it seemed that there was not much change after absorbing the Starry Sky. But at least for Zhang Zizai, the Starry Sky did not disappear, and all its essence was in the source talisman. Next, the Shenyu was also integrated into it after absorbing 2 level 8 evolution sources. The source symbol changed slightly, and it seemed that the aura was heavier. But it seemed that there was still some distance to success. The God-level evolution source was not so easy to achieve. Until the Tian Shen mountain was integrated into it, it seemed to have a slight change. In the next few days, he almost let the source symbol absorb all the remaining evolution sources on his body, and the source symbol has not changed much at present. It should be necessary to have a lot more different levels of evolution sources have different effects. The level 8 evolution source is still the best. The other evolution sources were absorbed, just like a stone sinking into the sea, without any waves. It seems that I need more evolution sources. It is actually a great fortune to get so many level 8 evolution sources this time. Except for the 2 inherited by Shen Xiao, the others are in Zhang Zizai's hands. There are 8 in total, 5 of which were not integrated into the source symbol, but given to the brothers and sisters around them to create them. Zhang Zizai thinks this is very worthwhile. After having the evolution source, he doesn't worry about the evolution source at all. After giving me the immortal electric demon, we will head directly to the ancient demon tomb. Zhang Zizai was already looking forward to this unknown place. Before reaching the gate of the domain, the 2nd level of the Tianyuan realm, the Tianyuan tribulation, arrived as expected. After the divine seal tribulation, there is the heart fire tribulation. Suddenly, the Tianyuan power inside his body was out of control, and a black flame suddenly appeared. The black flame began to burn his body. It burned from the inside out, and it felt very painful. Many people have broken through their realms, but they may not be able to stop the Tianyuan realm, causing the realm they just upgraded to regress. The Tianyuan realm is said to be a test of the ancient gods for totem warriors. Only by constantly crossing the Tianyuan realm can one truly become stronger and integrate a new realm. This kind of disaster is sometimes a kind of good fortune, like a test. If you can get through it, it will be very helpful for the future impact of the 3rd level of the Tianyuan realm, because you will have a deeper understanding, but if you fail, the power of the Tianyuan will disintegrate and fall back to the 1st level of the Tianyuan realm. The only way to resist the Tianyuan realm is to suppress the Tianyuan disaster born in the Tianyuan with your own understanding of the Tianyuan. Other methods are useless. For example, the mysterious art of life can only repair the body to a certain extent, but it cannot stop the heart fire disaster from continuing to burn. Suddenly, the vigorous heart fire disaster completely burned in his body, and his own Tianyuan power even fueled this burning. Hu 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 hu. As the flames spread, his body was in pain from the burning. What was even more terrifying was that once the heart fire tribulation burned for a long time, the newly expanded destruction heaven source would probably be burned by half, causing him to fall back to the first level of the heaven source realm. Because of this, some people say that the breakthrough of the heaven source realm is not a real breakthrough. Only after passing the heaven source realm can it be considered a real breakthrough. Zhang Zizai had been prepared. He was very curious about this destruction heaven source. In fact, the pain brought by the heart fire tribulation was a bit similar to the river of time in the Tegzu universe soul refining technique, so he could bear it to a higher degree. When the fire was burning, he had enough attention to the destruction heaven source. Heart fire is also destruction. Destruction itself can destroy. This is quite interesting. He was calm enough to look at the burning of the heart fire tribulation from an outsider's perspective, which was unprecedented. The Tianyuan realm should be a manifestation of instability after the transformation of the Tianyuan, and it is the abandonment of the residual dregs. This is a very good process, which can make everyone's Tianyuan more refined. Looking down on this change, there is no fear in the heart, but to study. It is not long before Zhang Zizai successfully suppresses the heart fire calamity. About a quarter of an hour later, in his observation, research, and comprehension, the heart fire calamity gradually dissipated. When the dregs in it burned, Zhang Zizai found that the destruction of the Tianyuan was only 3/4 of the previous size. This seems to be the disappearance of power, but in fact it is just the dregs leaving. The power of the new destruction of the Tianyuan is actually stronger. After passing the Tianyuan realm, it is equivalent to a small improvement in realm. Zhang Zizai is clear-minded and completely stabilizes the second level of the Tianyuan realm. Each level of the Tianyuan realm in the future may be different, but the principle is definitely the same. It is a process of self-examination and self-transformation. You only need to stabilize your heart, think carefully, and make more preparations. There should be no big problem. He now has 4 or 5 days to prepare. It is said that the further you go, the faster you will reach the heavenly origin realm. Especially at the end, the realm breakthrough and the heavenly origin tribulation will occur at the same time, which will be difficult to deal with. Of course, that is still a long way from Zhang Zizai. After surviving the heart fire tribulation, he felt refreshed. I wonder what level the strongest genius in the endless totem world of the first level of the well of divine domain will be. The strongest person encountered in Tianxing City is Shenzhen Jiao, who is at the 4th level of the heavenly origin realm, but when she is 20 years old, she may reach the 5th or 6th level. With this kind of strength, she can sit firmly in the position of the holy God servant in the origin divine sect, and it is certain that she will reach the initial God realm in the future. Maybe there is a good chance of becoming a god. Then, what about outside Tianxing City? It will take at most a few days to go back. Here I come, the ancient demon tomb. Zhang Zizai is full of fighting spirit. He has already liked the challenge of the well of divine domain. An hour later, he returned to the location of the well of divine realm. No one from Zikan realm was guarding here anymore. Fusion Fu Shield and Tianxing City, the geniuses of Zikan realm suffered 2 massacres by Zhang Zizai in these 2 places. It can be said bluntly that the geniuses in this world have been broken. Passing through the gate of the realm, he returned to Qingyang realm. Looking up, Shi Jian and others were still here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 628. After the gate of the realm was opened, the colorful vortex remained in the sky. Zhang Zizai and the 3 of them came down from the gate of the realm with the bells. At a glance, they saw 4 people guarding here. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. In order not to expose the evolutionary world, naturally come in the same way you go out. Among the four people, Zhang Zizai is most familiar with Shenzong's Shijian, which is one of the successors of the Beast God Palace Master. However, since he is far away from Shenzong to perform such tasks, I am afraid that the position of the Beast God Palace Master is not so good. It's safe. In addition to him, there are also Qin Guanjiao, the underworld general of the Underworld Palace, and the dragon protector of the Tianlong Holy Dynasty, Venerable Zhao Gozao. The Life and Death Talisman sect also sent someone to stay here. He is Tianya's talisman general Yayu, Tianya's son-in-law. The four forces all left one person behind, naturally waiting for Zhang Zizai to return. Of course, they also wanted to notify the whole world in time when special circumstances occurred. The so-called special situation refers to the fact that Zhang Zizai lost the source talisman and someone else took control of the source talisman, completely opening the Qingyang realm, and everyone from the third level well of the divine domain can come here. That is a major event that changes the destiny of the world. When the gate of the realm moved, they all felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy, but they were relieved when they saw Zhang Zizai and the others coming out of the gate of the realm. Shi Jian narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Zhang Zizai, you are so brave. Last time you dared to leave with the origin talisman without asking the first god, the Holy Dragon Emperor and the god of the underworld for permission." Venerable Zhao from the Holy Dynasty looked at Shen Xiao and said in a deep voice, "Sage of the Heavenly Dragon, you also secretly came out without asking the Holy Dragon Emperor for instructions, which made the Holy Dragon Emperor very disappointed in you. You must not do something as important as the origin talisman child's play. It's good now that we're back safely. Next, it's better to practice calmly." Qin Guanjiao, the underworld general, said. Only you didn't say anything. Their life and death Fu sect must support Zhang Zizai. The first god, the Holy Dragon Emperor and the three gods of the underworld have decided that if you come back, they will discuss the source talisman with you. Since you are back, please come with us first. Shi Jian's tone seemed to be unacceptable. Zhang Zizai didn't expect that they would stop him when he came back this time. Want to take me away? Zhang Zizai asked with a smile. That's right, Shi Jian nodded. Have you forgotten who guarded this world a few months ago? Zhang Zizai asked. There is no question about your merits, but the origin talisman is of great importance. You are still young, and we cannot let you joke with the lives and future of people all over the world, Shi Jian said. Then why didn't you just take the source talisman back then? Zhang Zizai sneered. Then. Shi Jian couldn't answer, but Zhang Zizai knew very well that the reason why no one cared about him at that time was because everyone was too grateful to him. As expected, time will dilute the most basic gratitude in people's hearts. People are indeed creatures that are easy to forget. Within a few months, he had forgotten Zhang Zizai's merits to the entire world. Ungrateful Shen Xiao rolled his eyes and said the essence. Stop talking nonsense. We only care about the lives of all living beings in Origin Continent. You must leave with me today, Shi Jian said. Of course, this is because he is so strong and represents the will of Shenzong. In this regard, the people in the Holy Dynasty and Hades Palace did not speak. Don't be so exaggerated. They didn't say they wanted to take away the source talisman. They just wanted to discuss it with our talisman owner. Shijian, please don't use chicken feathers as arrows. You couldn't listen anymore. I said something to Shijian. I am responsible for all sentient beings. Shijian intercepted Zhang Zizai. He stared at Yayu and said, can you stop me? Yayu practices the immortal talisman and is at the 4th level of Tianyuan realm. He is indeed no match for him. But Zhang Zizai was in a hurry, so he didn't bother with him. So he walked straight out, and Shi Jian stopped him in front of him, stretched out his hand and said, you'd better not move, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Then he said to Qin Guanjiao and Zhao Go, You two, please don't forget the instructions from above. The two kept silent, and it was obvious that they did not want to offend Zhang Zizai. This was just because of personal grudges. Are you sure you want to stop me? Zhang Zizai stared at the time book. Looking at your tone, you still want to leave by force, Shi Jian smiled. I might beat you up, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Shi Jian was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then laughed dumbly. When he was young, he was a genius of the Shen zone, and now he has been practicing for decades. He remembered that 2 years ago, Zhang Zizai was only at the level of his son. Now, he is so bold that he wants to beat himself up. This joke was too big, causing Shi Jian to freeze on the spot, then helplessly shook his head and laughed. I went to the well of God's realm, did it swell? His eyes darkened. Between his eyebrows is a purple phoenix totem. It is majestic and domineering, and its gaze will make any younger generation fearful. But what he never expected was that Zhang Zizai, Shen Xiao and Ling Xian looked at each other, and then the three of them started to attack at the same time. Zhang Zizai is at the second level of Tianyuan realm, and they are at the first level of Tianyuan realm. The Tianyuan of the three are all very top-notch. Although Sheng Xiao's furnace Tianyuan is only at the 7th level, its current power is not much worse than that of Zhang Zizai and the others. As for Shijian, in order to become a god, it is natural to have the first level of heavenly source, the purple fire heavenly source. 3 people take action at the same time. Zhang Zizai had the god of slaughter in his hand, and he used the eternal god fist to perform the 10,000 boundary shattering fist. The explosion of this move was the most ferocious, and the power of one punch was beyond eternity. Shen Xiao used the fire-gathering divine eye obtained from the Sun Star Monument. This woman who used to be able to spit fire now had eyes that could spit fire. 2 pillars of fire suddenly burst out of those eyes, which looked really terrifying. After Ling Xian reached the Tianyuan realm, her strength had transformed even more. She had many skills from her bloodline, and sometimes she didn't even need to practice battle tactics. For example, in terms of body skills, she recently awakened a body skill called Blood Escape, which was superb for escaping. She disappeared in an instant, and no one could catch her. She just punched out, and the sky was covered with blood light. In the punch, a blood-colored dragon shadow rushed out, and the monstrous murderous intent instantly enveloped the whole scene. This was the attack of the 3-headed dragon totem, which happened in an instant, and the sudden burst of power instantly hit Shi Jian in front of him. Shi Jianzhen didn't expect them to dare to attack him. After all, there was such a big difference in seniority. To him, it was no different from being attacked by a child. It was not until the attack came to his eyes that he was shocked to realize that this was the power of Tianyuan. Of course, even if it was the power of Tianyuan, he didn't need to worry. After all, his cultivation in Tianyuan realm was already very advanced, and he was a person who had the potential to reach the initial god realm in the future. At this time, a pair of huge purple flame wings suddenly appeared behind him, and the purple flame wings suddenly blocked in front of him, helping him to intercept Zhang Zizai's attack. Boom! The attacks of the 3 of them all hit the purple flame wings. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 629. After a loud bang, something incredible happened. Under the attack of Zhang Zizai and the others, the purple fire wing exploded directly, and Shi Jian was blown away for 30 feet. At the same time, Zhang Zizai and the 3 of them bombarded and wrapped him with the power of the source of heaven, causing him to somersault several times and almost fall into the sea. It can be said that he was in a very embarrassing state. When everyone saw Shi Jian wasting away and getting up, his hair was messy and there were some injuries on his body, his face was already stiff. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Of course, Shi Jian's face was also stiff, even livid, and I didn't know that his face had been swollen. He looked at Zhang Zizai and the others with shocked eyes. Go tell your master and ask her if I am qualified to bring the source talisman into the well of the divine domain with my strength, Zhang Ziyi said. Shi Ji unclenched his fists and struggled for a long time. 3 people have reached the heavenly origin realm. It's incredible, but... Shi Jian was probably angry. Enough. Yu stood in front of Zhang Zizai and said, our talisman master and the 2 girls are all talented people. They are also heroes of our origin continent. Shi Jian, your attitude is too much. If Xuanhuan Chushan wants to discuss the issue of the source talisman, let her come to the talisman sea. They are not prisoners, and it is not your turn to capture them. Yu is right. The other dragon guardians and Hades generals from the Holy Dynasty and the Hades Palace also changed their words after seeing Zhang Zizai's performance, leaving Shi Jian speechless. Very good, this is the decision of the 3 of you. If something goes wrong in the future, you will be the culprit. Shi Jian actually didn't have the face to stay here. Zhang Zizai's strength made him feel uneasy. He knew that he should talk to Xuanhuan Chushan about the current situation first. So when he said this, Shi Jian snorted coldly and turned away. After turning around, he saw his tattered clothes and the wounds that had just healed. His face became even gloomier, but he could not hide his uneasiness. What kind of concept is it that 3 young people at the age of 18 can force him to retreat? Will it be good to confront them again in the future? He might have to think about this issue carefully. But he knew that at least Xuanhuan Chushan and the palace masters had no room to turn back. After Shi Jian left, Zhang Zizai had a casual exchange with the other 3. They mainly wanted to ask about the situation of the well of the divine realm, and Zhang Zizai picked it up. Saintess of Tianlong, have you all entered the Tianyuan realm? Asked Zunzhao. Zhang Zizai nodded. The well of the divine realm has infinite fortune. Maybe the Holy Dragon Emperor will change his mind. Zunzhao sighed. You are so talented, but Shi Jian still has this attitude. He really has a problem with his brain. Qin Guanjiao shook his head helplessly. What are your plans for this return? Do you want to take a break? Yu asked. I will mainly go back to Daejiang King City, and then go back to Fuhe. I will have a chance to enter the well of divine domain again in a few days, Zhang Zizai said directly. Okay, then I will go back to Fuhe and wait for the return of Fuzhou. After Yu left, Zhao Zun told Shen Xiao to go back to the Holy Dynasty, so Shen Xiao left with him first, and agreed to meet in Daejiang King City at that time. She was not worried that Zhang Zizai would slip away first this time. After all, she could still help in the well of divine domain. After the separation, Zhang Zizai, Lingxian, and Lingdang went back to Daejiang King City first, which was much closer. The flying talisman sped across the sea. Lingdang liked to play with Lingxian. She usually didn't talk much, but she always made Lingdang laugh. Auntie Lingxian, do you like my daddy? When the 3 of them were together, Lingdang asked very bluntly. Shut up. Zhang Zizai was still a little confused about this little clever. Lingxian smiled and gently touched Lingling's head, letting her sleep on her body. They looked like a family of 3 who had returned from a trip. Not long after, Zhang Zizai returned to the great Zhongqing city. The city was becoming more and more prosperous, and it seemed to have been expanded. It had only been a few months, and it seemed to be completely different. After returning, Lu Dingxing, Ruo Xiaoyu and all the others came out of the evolution world. Bai Shenjin and Wang Qian were also very lucky. It might be that the evolution source bestowed by the ancient gods on the star monument was special. They all evolved successfully and had the universe-level totem. Zhang Junjian was handling government affairs. When he saw Zhang Zizai return, he immediately finished his work and the family gathered together. Why are you back so early? Zhang Junjian appeared with Dong Yangjing and Zhang Yi. He opened his arms and hugged Zhang Zizai heavily. I brought you a gift, Zhang Zizai said. Evolution source? Level 8, Zhang Junjian was a smart person and guessed it at once. After all, he could see that even their totem seemed to be superior to his. Awesome. Zhang Zizai took out the immortal electric demon. When this 8th level evolution source came out, Zhang Junjian's eyes were straight. Brothers, naturally, no courtesy, Zhang Junjian took it directly. Zhang Zizai also took out a 7th level evolution source, called Ice and Snow God, which can first evolve Dong Yangjing's totem to the universe level. You evolve first, I'm going home to walk around, Zhang Zizai said. After all, it's only a few months, there's nothing to reminisce about the past, and sometimes a retreat is not just that short. Huh, after saying that, Zhang Zizai stared at Zhang Junjian. Brother, have you reached the 4th level of the Divine Seal realm? He was quite surprised, because Lu Dingxing practiced in front of the Divine Spirit every day, but he had not yet reached this level. He was currently at the 3rd level of the Divine Seal realm. Yes, it was the good fortune given by the evolution source you gave me last time. If I can evolve to the universe level totem this time, I guess it will be even faster, Zhang Junjian said confidently. But it doesn't make sense. How could he be so fast in a place like the great Zhongqing city? When Zhang Zizai couldn't figure it out, Zhang Junjian and his wife had already gone into seclusion happily, leaving their son to play with Lingdang. Their son Zhang Yi was still a little stunned. If he played with Lingdang, he would definitely be fooled around. During Zhang Junjian's seclusion, Zhang Zizai also learned something. In the past few months, his brother had actually unified the Xiaming Kingdom and incorporated the entire Xiaming Kingdom into their territory. The power of the Underworld Palace was uprooted in the Xiaming Kingdom. It seems that Xiaming Kingdom wanted to take advantage of the internal turmoil here to occupy part of the land, but Zhang Junjian turned the tables and finally lost the country. He only returned to the court these few days. Now the capital of the Great Zhang Dynasty is the Great Zhongqing City, which has been renamed the Great Zhang Imperial City. He felt more and more that his brother seemed to be not simple, at least much more powerful than Zhang Yuning, who had no fighting spirit every day. Could it be that he really has a secret that I don't know about, and it is related to my father? Zhang Zizai remembered everything he heard and saw about Zhang Yunting when he got the Eternal Dragon visualization method. Did Zhang Junjian know all this? He is also Zhang Yunting's son. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 630. Shenzong, Chushanyu. Including the new Tianshan Palace Master Li Yanhe, the 5 palace masters hurriedly gathered and asked for an audience in front of Chushanyu. Behind them, there was Shi Jian, who had just returned from the East China Sea. Chushan, we are asking for an audience. Shi Jian brought back news about Zhang Zizai from the East China Sea and needs to report to Chushan. The Lord of the Beast God Palace said. Go in. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. Diamond Suit. After getting permission, they went in directly. It was Shi Jian's first time to come to this place, and she was a little nervous. After a while, she finally saw the Xuanhuan temple. After the temple was opened, the peerless and breathtakingly beautiful Xuanhuan Chushan sat cross-legged on the ground. When they came in, she opened her eyes. Zhang Zizai is back, she asked with her red lips slightly parted. Replying to Chushan, he is back, and the source talisman is still on him. I was going to bring him back and let Chushan and the Holy Dragon Emperor deal with the source talisman together, but I didn't expect that something changed, Shi Jian said concisely. What changes? Xuanhuan Chushan asked with concentration. The 3 of them have entered the Tianyuan realm, and the Tianyuan is very strong. It seems that they have chosen a very high-level Tianyuan. The 3 of them joined forces to fight me. I didn't react for a while and was actually repelled, Shi Jian said. After that, they all entered silence, and the silence was even a little scary. I can guarantee that they have the combat power of about the 4th level of Tianyuan realm. It is comparable to ordinary holy servants, especially Zhang Zizai. Shi Jian lowered his head and said. Xuanhuan Chushan narrowed his eyes and said, the progress is so terrifying. It seems that within 10 years, he will reach my level. This progress is too exaggerated. Is this what the talisman brings him? If this continues, it will be very disadvantageous for us. The Lord of the Beast God frowned. What happened at the beginning was already a scar that could not be repaired. Xuanhuan understood the difficulty of this, because other people did not know about the divine spell on her. She was more afraid of Zhang Zizai's death than anyone else, but she was also more afraid of Zhang Zizai becoming stronger than anyone else. No matter how you look at it, it's a dead end. This speed of progress brought extraordinary pressure. Chushan, I suggest that you immediately unite with the Holy Dragon Emperor and the Underworld God to deprive Zhang Zizai of his source talisman. You can't let him take the fate of the people of the whole world at the well of the divine domain. You can't let him continue to become stronger by relying on the source talisman, Shi Jian said excitedly. It's unlikely. The Holy Dragon Emperor and the 3 underworld gods will probably not agree, and the Life and Death Talisman Master and the Old Talisman Master still exist. Zhang Zizai can impress them with his talent and last merit, the Sword God Palace Master said in a deep voice. Xuanhuan didn't say anything, but it was obvious that she thought so too. Just based on the last merit, the Holy Dragon Emperor said that it was impossible to deprive him of his source talisman. Then there is no way to control him. If this person continues to grow, he will be a disaster sooner or later. Shi Jian gritted his teeth. No one answered him. Chu Shen, I have a way. Shi Jian raised his head and said. You say. Zhang Zizai has a brother, in a place called Yanlong Dynasty, in the exciting place. He has been staying here. I heard that Zhang Zizai has a very good relationship with his brother. Maybe we can achieve the goal of controlling Zhang Zizai by controlling this person called Zhang Junjian, Shi Jian said. The palace masters looked at each other. Xuanhuan Chu Shen pursed his red lips and did not speak for a long time. I don't know if he agrees with this method. De Zhang Dynasty. Zhang Zizai stayed in the yard. Dongyang Jing's totem has evolved to the universe level totem. Now just waiting for Zhang Junjian. Suddenly, the thunder exploded inside, and the whole room shattered directly. Countless thunder rushed into the sky. Among the thousands of lightning flashes, a man appeared there, with a feeling of traversing the world. He really evolved successfully. Immortal Electric Demon Kirin Totem. The top universe level totem in the world, the next step is the god level totem. Boom boom boom. Countless thunders flashed, alarming the people in the great Zhang imperial city. When they saw the existence like the thunder god, they shouted one after another. They knew that it was their emperor. Zhang Zizai was even more surprised. This time the totem evolution actually allowed his realm to break through 2 levels in a row and reach the 6th level of the Divine Seal realm. With the totem of the Immortal Electric Demon, Zhang Junjian's combat power increased dramatically. In time, he could be comparable to the Flame Dragon Emperor. The whole city cheered. Brother, explain it. When everyone was celebrating, Zhang Zizai said beside him. I knew I couldn't avoid it. Zhang Junjian smiled bitterly. The brothers sat on the roof of the palace in the imperial city at night. The 2 of them tasted a little wine and started chatting. Zhang Zizai spoke first. He told everything he saw and heard when he got the Eternal Dragon visualization method. Interesting, our parents are really not ordinary people. I really don't know why they stayed in the great Zhang King city in the past, and stayed here in such a status, Zhang Junjian said. He said that he is dead. What do you think? Zhang Zizai asked. It is possible that he has died a long time ago. What brought us up may be some kind of means, or something left. Anyway, at least they are gods, and there must be some means such as reincarnation, Zhang Junjian said. He patted Zhang Zizai on the shoulder and said, go forward with peace of mind. Listen to what father said. The task you shoulder is much heavier than mine. It is useless to think too much now. Father once said that time will give the answer. By then, we will know the truth of all this. What is your mission? Zhang Zizai asked. There is something under the great Zhongking city that I need to guard here forever. If I leave, there will be a risk of being discovered. Some time ago, I dreamed that my father told me about this thing. Aren't you curious about why I can practice so fast? It's also because of this thing. My father asked me to guard it until I die, he smiled. What is it? Zhang Zizai asked. Hush, he hissed and said, I can't say, you can't ask, in this world, except for us brothers, no third person knows, and your sister-in-law doesn't know either. Do you understand? Zhang Zizai understood. This is interesting. Zhang Yunding seemed to have pointed out a way for himself, allowing himself to find the truth in the adventure. He also gave his brother Zhang Junjian a task, asking him to guard something until he died. What is his identity? Why would he have such a thing as the God Box, and why would he let his son guard something for his whole life? I can't figure it out, I can't guess it. Zhang Zizai finally understood why Zhang Junjian didn't go out to explore like himself, but was content to be a little emperor here. He didn't mean to be an emperor. It was just a task given by his father. Originally, the totem was my disadvantage, but you brought it back to me. With that thing, my future speed will not be worse than yours. I am really ashamed to let you, my brother, get ahead of me. In the future, I have to let my brother protect you. Zhang Junjian drank a cup with him and laughed heartily. Oh, then you have to work harder, it's hard for me to catch up. Zhang Zizai laughed. To be honest, he also wanted to see what was under the great Zhongking city. After all, curiosity was here. But now he had to restrain himself. Obviously, this was Zhang Yunding's explanation. Now he knew that it must not be a good thing. So, he could only endure it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 631. Next, Zhang Zizai went to the Life and Death Fu sect. After all, he is the master of the talisman of life and death, and the future of the talisman sect still rests on him. In fact, the news of the invasion of the Purple Chen realm has been widely spread in the origin continent, and most people have heard about Zhang Zizai's deeds. Therefore, the once silent Fu Hai has come back into people's sight, and now the Life and Death Fu sect has begun to move towards revival. Before coming, Zhang Zizai went to the evolution world and searched for many evolution sources below level 6. He took all of them back to the Sea of Talismans and asked the old talisman master to reward the disciples with outstanding talents. For the formation of source symbols, evolution sources below level 6 are no longer of much use. Of course, he also gave a lot of Zhang Junjian to train his generals and soldiers. In the past, Zhang Zizai couldn't explain the origin of the source of evolution, but now he can say that it was obtained from the Well of God's domain. Knowing that Zhang Zizai wanted to enter the Well of God's realm, the old talisman master was not worried. It was obvious that he was very supportive, because judging from Zhang Zizai's progress, the Well of God's realm was more suitable for him, and leaving the origin continent would only let the geniuses of other totem worlds fall far behind. Before leaving, the old talisman master said, "Don't worry about the source talisman. After learning about your progress, I communicated with the Holy Dragon Emperor and the 3 underworld gods. They will temporarily hold the source talisman for you. The Well of God's domain has no objection yet. If you want to leave, leave early to avoid them changing their minds later." Zhang Zizai nodded. Before leaving, he had one more thing to do. He said, "My brother is still here. During my absence, can Fu Hai protect my brother's Zhang dynasty and at least have a Fu king there? I want to protect him. I'm worried that Yuxiao will do something to my relatives for you and Fu." "No problem. It just so happens that Tianya has nothing to do, and he is familiar with you, so just let him pass. You are the master of the talisman of life and death now, and they all obey your orders. You can just give the order directly for this kind of thing. So Zhang Zizai took Tianya and 7 or 8 talisman generals back to the Zhang dynasty. Just let them move around secretly and look after Zhang Junjian a little. Don't worry, we will definitely do our best to protect the talisman master's relatives, Tianya said with a smile. With his words, Zhang Zizai felt more at ease. After Shen Xiao came over from the Tianlong Holy Dynasty, they set off directly from the East China Sea. How is it? Did the Holy Dragon Emperor tell you anything after you go back? Zhang Zizai asked with a smile while sitting on the flying talisman on the way. I just want to be careful with you, don't cause trouble with you, take the source talisman by yourself when necessary, and don't let it fall into the hands of outsiders. These guys can take care of the heart source talisman. It's just that the Holy Dragon Emperor said that he would not take away your source talisman. Talisman, it's hard to take it back now, Shen Xiao said a little impatiently. Then you still tell me, Zhang Zizai asked in surprise. Am I not on your side? Shen Xiao glared at him. That's true. She has no feelings for Tianlong Holy Dynasty, she just has the identity of Tianlong Saint. I'm flattered, Zhang Zizai chuckled. Be good when you get a bargain. Arriving at the east of the East China Sea this time, finally no one was in the way. Zhang Zizai easily opened the door to the realm, came to the well of God's domain again, and then closed the door to the realm in both directions. People inside could not get out, and those outside could not get out. No one can get in. How long will it take to come out this time? Shen Xiao asked. Not sure. It may be similar to last time, but it may also be a long time, or even die here and never go back, Zhang Zizai said. That's just right. I don't really want to go back anyway, Shen Xiao said. Why? There is no one who is nostalgic in this world. She lowered her head, looking a little melancholy. In fact, her mother is still alive, but she has become a monk. But she didn't want to see her again, and now she let concubines to live such a pure life, which was suitable for her. After all, the intrigues in the first half of her life were too tiring. What about you? Zhang Zizai asked Ling Xian. I don't care. I have nowhere to go anyway. Wherever you go, I will go, Ling Xian said softly. Don't let him kidnap you, Shen Xiao said distressedly. Haha, don't sow discord. Yanner and I have a better relationship than you, Zhang Zizai smiled. Shameless people will bully my sister's innocence, Shen Xiao glared at him angrily. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you, let's go to the ancient demon tomb. Zhang Zizai manipulated the flying talisman and headed towards the unknown end. He only knows the route, but not the distance. It feels like this well of God's domain is huge and boundless. Countless geniuses from the totem world gather here. The ancient demon tomb that summons me should also be quite far away. How huge is the well of God's domain? Many people start walking in their teens and reach the 3rd level of the well of God's realm. By the time they are in their 50s or 60s, they have not reached the end. This is bigger than any totem world. The flying talisman spans the vast yellow sand. Within the well of God's domain, there are no human figures in most areas. For more than 10 days, not a single person can be seen. However, there are many source beasts. It is obvious that the source beasts in the well of God's realm are far away. Transhumans. After more than 10 days, I finally crossed the sky full of yellow sand, but soon arrived at an even hotter place. Here was a piece of charred land. The land was endless and everything was burned into coke. The ground looked like steel. As if cast. There are cracks everywhere on the ground. Under the cracks is countless magma, which is boiling and rolling at this time. Some magma spurts out from the cracks, flows on the ground, and then rushes back and gathers into the cracks. There are several huge volcanoes at the end of the field of vision, which are now spewing black smoke towards the sky. The smoke is like a dragon rising up, rushing towards the endless sky. Speaking of which, although the area of the well of the divine realm we have seen so far is huge, there are not many places that are truly suitable for living. The conditions are very bad. It is unlikely to reproduce here. It is still suitable for the totem worlds of all parties to reproduce. This place is only suitable for finding powerful opportunities. Zhang Zizhe has a very thorough understanding. In such a large place, only Tianxing City is suitable for living. If Tianxing City is not built, there will be no place to rest. This is a world where people eat raw meat and drink blood. Zhang Zizhe's target is the ancient demon tomb. He didn't pay much attention to the surroundings, but went all the way forward. Suddenly, two beings suddenly appeared and intercepted them. These two people should have seen them from a distance and ambushed them here. When Zhang Zizhe arrived, they suddenly rushed out, two people in front and one behind, leaving the three of them with almost nowhere to escape. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 632. Zhang Zizhe looked back and forth, and the two young men looked almost exactly the same. If they were not wearing black and white clothes, it would be difficult to tell them apart when they stood together. These two should be twin brothers. Both of them were very burly, one with a stern face and the other with a smile on his face. When they intercepted Zhang Zizhe and the other three, the young man in white said with a smile, "You three are in a hurry. Where are you going?" These two people are very powerful, almost the same as the Liun brothers in the Liun realm. Sure enough, there are geniuses everywhere in the well of the divine domain. What does it have to do with you where you are going? Don't block my way and waste my time, Zhang Zizhe said. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. You can't say that. This God's domain well is so vast. Since we can meet, it is fate. In order to live up to this fate, you should be sensible and leave the three of you space jade pendants as a token of friendship. Okay, the young man in white said with a smile. My name is Tong Cheng, and this is my younger brother Tong Zhen. We have always been very good to people like you. As long as you know what's good for you, there will basically be no physical injuries. So, make a decision quickly, the young man in white said Tong Cheng. With your strength, you have to be prepared to wander around in the God's domain well behind them, the young man in black, Tong Zhen, said in a deep voice. Zhang Zizhe smiled. It turned out to be a robber who robbed on the road. It seems that there are still many such people in the God's domain well. They can clearly estimate the gap between themselves and others, and they will run out to squeeze the weak persimmon when they see it. After all, those who can come to the well of the divine realm are all top-level beings of the well of the divine realm. Even if their strength is a little worse, they may still have a lot of money. It is precisely because their brothers plunder everywhere that they are currently in a state of being rich. What if I don't? Zhang Zizhe raised his head and said. The young man in white, Tong Zhen, laughed dumbly and said, that's easy. We can just ask for it ourselves, but we have always been rough in our actions. It is very normal to lose arms and legs. My brother has a bad temper and likes to cripple people. For this reason, I always persuade him, but it doesn't work. It's distressing, so if you refuse, you have to be prepared to be a cripple. Brother, I want these two women, they are very beautiful, Tong Zhen suddenly said in a deep voice. Indeed, I didn't look carefully just now. In this case, for the sake of fate, you can sacrifice again. Can these two beauties accompany us brothers for a while? Tong Cheng looked at the two people behind Zhang Zizhe with hot eyes, and couldn't help licking his lips. He didn't notice it before, but now he found that these two beauties are more attractive the more he looks at them. Put down the space jade pendant, and you can go. You are so cowardly, how can you go with such a beauty? In the future, they will follow us brothers, and their future will be much better than yours. You don't have to hold a grudge in your heart. After all, this is the well of the divine domain, and no one can protect you. Tong Chen laughed. Hearing this, Zhang Zizai was also annoyed. They are really two people with a sense of superiority. The one behind wants you to, so I will give you to him, he said. Tong Chen and Tong Zhen both laughed, secretly thinking that this kid is really sensible. They haven't touched a woman for a long time, and they are already hot in their hearts. Okay, Shen Xiao's words made the brothers more satisfied. They didn't expect these three people to be so sensible. At the moment when they were smiling with satisfaction, Zhang Zizai and them instantly split into two groups, one in front and one behind, and rushed towards them in an instant. Shen Xiao and Ling Xian naturally besieged Tong Zhen together, while Lightning Bird was still helping, and Zhang Zizai appeared in front of Tong Zhen. You. The brothers realized that these three people were actually the most daring. They dared to take the initiative. They thought it was ridiculous, but in the next moment, they immediately stopped laughing. Ling Xian's killing source came from the 9th level of the Source of the Sky. The lethality of her Source of the Sky is actually very close to Zhang Zizai. After all, this Source of the Sky is born for killing, and killing is the end of the battle. Of course, although Shen Xiao is the 7th level of Tianyuan, she also has a divine object like the Holy Dragon armor, and her totem is more powerful than Zhang Zizai and Ling Xian. When the two-element furnace appeared, Tong Zhen was burned all over, and even the furnace blocked his sight. He could only see a girl burning in flames and a girl with a bloody mist, who disappeared without a trace like death. Then, it started instantly. On the other side, Zhang Zizai had already confronted Tong Zhen directly. He held the god of killing and arrived in an instant. You are only the 2nd level of Tianyuan realm at most, Tong Zhen couldn't help laughing. While he was smiling, the power of the totem was completely revealed. For a moment, a golden lion appeared behind him. It was a phantom, but it was shocking enough. This is the Golden Heaven Kunwu totem. Kunwu is a kind of lion. This totem is already a universe-level totem. His younger brother Tong Zhen has the Black Sky Kunwu totem, which are two top-level totems, and they dare to come out to intercept. Zhang Zizai responded with the 9 Heavens Thunder Tribulation world-destroying sword skill. When Zhang Zizai's strength completely broke out, he was dumbfounded. How is it possible? Although he was shocked, he immediately confronted Zhang Zizai. Holy Lion Roar. This battle tactic is a sound attack. With a roar, the earth shook and countless magma was blown away. Zhang Zizai had a blank expression on his face. The totem weapon, the Emperor Bell, that he got from Lin Feng was still there. When the opponent used the Holy Lion Roar, he directly blocked it with the Emperor Bell. Although it was a sound attack, it did not penetrate Zhang Zizai's Emperor Bell. Kunwu Divine Fist. Tong Chen came up again, trying to suppress Zhang Zizai's swordsmanship. Unfortunately, Zhang Zizai had defeated too many 4th-level Tianyuan realm warriors. This time, when facing Tong Chen, he was also at ease. He used the Wanjun-shattering World Fist and the world-destroying swordsmanship at the same time, and then used the Earth Escape Divine Art to deal with it. The Dragon Demon transformation and the Dragon Soul clone in the totem were combined, and finally the Eternal Divine Fist was added. With the power of a punch, Tong Chen, who was performing the Kunwu Divine Fist, was shocked and flew back with blood spraying. You can't do it, Zhang Zizai chased after him, and with a sweep of the God of Slaughter, Tong Zhen's arm flew out. Ah! Tong Zhen cried out in pain, and beads of sweat as big as peas kept falling from his face. His face was pale, and he looked at Zhang Zizai in shock. His body was already shaking. He wanted to call his brother to help him, but when he looked over there, he saw that under the siege of the two women, even his brother Tong Zhen was in a mess at this time, and defeat was a matter of time.